Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Center for Practical Spirituality. It is an answered prayer. It is raining outside, and it looks and it feels fantastic. You know, whenever you're hearing the wonderful rain kind of hitting the roof, it's just so therapeutic and just so renewing. And of course, April showers brings May flowers. Hey, so I look forward to the flowers. So let's go ahead and get started. And let me just say to everybody, if you have any specific prayers or a request or anything, please put it into the thread. Message me. You know, we'll be more than happy to accommodate and to pray and to uplift, most definitely. So let us go ahead and get started. God is all, both visible and invisible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so it is. And so it is. Hey, have you guys ever had your dearly departed, they're on the other side, kind of talk to you, or kind of, talk to you via, a song, or maybe they appear someplace, or maybe, it's like you feel their essence or their presence. So today, I was watching some YouTube, okay? And all of a sudden, one of the shorts comes up, and I just looked, and I reposted it because I didn't repost the actual short. What I did was I took a screenshot of the man, and I reposted it onto my Facebook, and I said, is it just me, or does this guy, look like my late husband's, doppelganger? I mean, he looked like Nick, like nobody's business. I was like, wow. So he said hello. I want to share that with you guys because our dearly departed, our loved ones that are, unconditional love and perfect divine energy at this very moment, they do talk to you. Just saying. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our wonderful Uplifting the Soul service, and let's go ahead and talk about accepting and accept responsibility. Many people have they love to blame everybody else for their problems, okay? They love to say, oh, it's their fault, or, it's them. And so many times we're not taking responsibility. Now, let's go ahead and let's get into this wonderful Uplifting the Soul service so that we can go ahead and talk in reference to some of these taking responsibility. You are the altar where the world is asking to be healed. Malodoma Patrice Sommet. We are living in an intelligent universe which responds to our mental states. To the extent that we learn to control these mental states, we shall automatically control our environment. Now, what does that mean in layman's terms? And that was by Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, page 139. So, I'm led to speak in reference to whenever Jesus did not allow, when he was tempted right before, because we all have the Christ consciousness. So Jesus, when he was being tempted in the Bible by the one that is called evil, or the lack of living, it's kind of like Satan himself. One of the things that he, told Jesus is, you just tell me and you will have command over this whole entire thing, whole entire city, this world. And then, he said, it's kind of like, that, just say, and I will give you X, Y, and Z. And what did Jesus do? Jesus told him No. No. Because Jesus's mind was focused on one thing, and that was Mother, Father, God, infinite intelligence, divine mind. He had, and he knew that he was being, or the manipulation, of, oh, look at this, and you'll have it. And what Jesus did as the greatest metaphysician that we have was he was steadfast on his responsibilities. Okay? So when it is saying here, we are living in an intelligent universe. We are connected to that universe. And so our every word, thought, and action, be it said out loud or stated in silence, which is in the mind, all of a sudden, it is created. Now, today, one of the things, because one of my sayings is, I can, I will, and it is done. Okay? That's one of my sayings. Well, I have another saying, and I want to go ahead and share it with you. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Like, I stated it this morning, and I was like, oh, wow. So if you can see it, feel it, know it, you become it. And this is, that's dreams coming true. And so it came from a Porsche advertisement. This little kid was looking outside the window, and he saw the Porsche. And then he drew the Porsche. And then he got on his bike, and he drove to the Porsche. Wonderful venue, where they're selling the Porsches. And he talked to the salesman. And he told him, he goes, do you have this blah, 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 blah Porsche? And the guy just looked at him and goes, yeah, we sure do. He goes, would you like to sit inside of it? He goes, really? He goes, yeah, go ahead. So the little boy gets into the car. He's feeling the Porsche. He's feeling the steering wheel. Then he peeks his head over the steering wheel so he can see over it when he's going to be able to be driving on it, driving in it. And then all of a sudden, the salesman comes back, opens the door. He grabs his backpack. He comes out, and he looks at the man. He goes, you got a business card? The man goes, yeah, I do. He gave him the business card. Then the young man puts his, backpack on. He looks at the salesman, and he says, I'll see you in 20 years. He gets back onto his bike, and he takes off. That, ladies and gentlemen, that. You see it, you feel it, you know it in your bones. You can taste it, you can feel it, you see the accomplishment. You are, just enveloped in the actual outcome. You become it. And that is how dreams come true. So you have to take responsibility for what you're thinking, what you're believing, what you're stating, what you're proclaiming, and you have to do the shift, okay? So we always shape the environment around us in some way. We are co-creators with God. You and I, we are in the likeness and the image of who? Of Mother, Father, God. We all play a role and have a level of responsibility for the way in which the culture around us appears. The environment we find ourselves in can only reflect back to us what we, the people, have put into it. So what have we put into our lives? What have we put into our minds? What are we focusing on? If we're focusing on poverty, we're going to have poverty. If we're focusing on abundance, we're going to have abundance. You are the captain of your ship. So make sure that you give the orders appropriately. And Jesus showed us. He's not the only example of who showed us to create the lives that we are so destined and so wonderfully, capable of actually achieving and having. all of our wonderful avatars, all of our wonderful, those that have been on this earth and gave us the instruction book in many senses, actually teach us how to go beyond the physical realm. Now, let's continue. If we all have this level of responsibility, then it becomes apparent that moment by moment, each day, we shape our environment in some way. We either add space, we either add peace, acceptance, inclusivity, and empowerment to it. Or we do the opposite, making it more exclusive, less peaceful, more divisive, and more harmful to others. There is no middle ground. It's kind of like you have to, pick a side. It's kind of like the line has been divided. And the line is going to be in the form of energy. So I have a young man who's here, and and he'll tell me, "Oh, I'm existing." And at first I would just look at him like, "That's it? You're just existing?" And he was like, "But that's like the ultimate." And it took me, and it's so true. We are existing. And that is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And in that existence, we are accepting our responsibilities of what we are creating. Choose wisely. Our superpower that we were given by God, by all of those that have been a great of instructors and metaphysicians themselves, have given us the key. And that is our superpower, which is to make a choice. Choose wisely. Command wisely. And when we empower and we say, for instance, we add peace, we add acceptance, we add inclusivity and empowerment to it, we are actually saying we are wanting to be surrounded by loving and kind and nurturing people, places, things, experiences. Now, not everything is going to be hunky-dory, but the way upon which you respond to what has happened is going to be key. Because if you allow yourself, you could invite, by the way, less peaceful, more divisive, and more harmful things to others and yourself. And there's no middle ground. So you have to choose. Do I want to be loving or do I want to be hateful? Go read Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. Okay? I'm not going to repeat it. I just want for you to go ahead. I'm not going to read it right now to you. I want for you to take time to go and read it. It's Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. That's my invitation to you. So, some will default to the idea that they are not doing either, that they are simply living their lives, which in and itself is an action that reinforces the status quo. I would challenge all of us to recognize how we shape the world around us and do so in an intentional way that creates peace, acceptance, respect, compassion for one and all. And so, my invitation from one of my parishioners was, in reference to being in that shaping of peace, acceptance, respect, compassion for one and all. In existing, how are you existing? Exist in the highest level of awareness and consciousness and peace that you can physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually be in. And it takes a little while to really understand that existing is a beautiful way of living, to exist in your life's purpose. What we see, we help to create. Alamo. And what will be seen in the future is shaped by how we choose to live today. Alamo. You need to think about that. Let me go ahead and repeat it. What we see right here, right now, we take that response. You helped to create it. And what will be seen in the future is shaped by how we choose to live today. So what is your tomorrow going to be like? You know, what have you been doing to get to this point? How have you been co-creating with infinite intelligence, with divine mind, with, creator of all, so that you can have, regardless of what's going on out there, you create a loving and wonderful and precious environment where you are appreciated and loved and exalted. Many times you end up being the blessing to those people out there. Sometimes we're like, oh, I'm waiting for that blessing, or I'm waiting for, I'm waiting to be blessed, or I'm waiting for something. Well, you know what? Lots of times it's like you end up being that blessing to somebody else, because you are the sunshine on a cloudy day. You are love manifested, demonstrated, and attracted. You are God in expression. I am a beacon of peace and acceptance for all people in my community. Welcome to your assignment. I'm going to say this. It's not the easiest, being a part of Center for Practical Spirituality, which is divine science and, part of a new thought and everything, and being Christ consciousness. And the reason I say, and Buddha mind, and the reason I say that is because we are held to a higher standard. Okay? In what way? So, ignorance is bliss, right? Once you know, for instance, let me go ahead and kind of paint this picture. So let's say, that you didn't understand cause and effect. And let me go ahead and kind of give you a little bit of a cause and effect. You are in the grocery store, or you are at a store, period. And you decide that you really want this particular item, but you don't have the money for it. So instead, what you do is you steal it, okay? So let's say that it was for $1, okay? Just $1. Well, you stole that item for $1, okay? You took it. There is cause and effect. Cause was you took it. The effect is when you take something that is not yours, you will pay tenfold. Why? Because you didn't pay for it. It wasn't yours in the first place. And so you decide to steal it. And when you steal it, what happens is that later on, maybe not that same day or the next day or 2 weeks or maybe 10 weeks, but eventually something will end up breaking, being taken from you at the equivalent of $10, because that's tenfold. And so once you realize via truth principles that if you take something, the universe is going to take from you. Once you learn that principle, all of a sudden, it's kind of like, you don't take a thing. You don't take anything. I don't care if it's if it's a pencil. You don't take it. You know why? because of the fact that it's called integrity. 1. 2, you don't take things that aren't yours. Second. Third is you are going to end up paying because the universe is going to take from you, and you're going to pay for it. For that little pencil that may have been $1, you are going to end up paying $10 in the very near future. And that right there, once you learn that principle, you won't take anymore. And so in New Thought, what you end up doing is you end up realizing that you are always the captain of your ship. Command it well. Even if no one is watching, somebody is, there's a greater power that's watching what you're doing. So for me, one of the things that I learned that one. It's like whenever I heard it from Ann Kunith, because that's where I really learned it. Thank goodness I didn't have that habit, but I learned it. And whenever I learned it, I was like, wow, my goodness, that really makes sense. And so, and she went further by stating, and she talked in reference to other things, that were happening. And so the other blessing to that is if someone takes something from you, bless it and just say, that person obviously needed it more than I did. And I bless them. And I will receive something better in return. So as you let go and you learn this wonderful, truth principle, all of a sudden ignorance, you're no longer ignorant to the cause and effect law. So now you're responsible, right? You're responsible and you're held accountable for it. So accept responsibility. And so that's why whenever, there's another one of, as you give, you shall receive. What is that? It's the figure 8. It's the infinitude, okay? So we always have something to give. A smile, a compliment, a quarter, a dime, a rose. I have a rose bush. And so I had these just made some beautiful roses. So what I did was I went and I cut them and I gave them to my neighbor. This was some years ago, about 2 years ago. But I wanted to share the roses and not just keep them to myself. You always have something to give. So yesterday I went ahead and I had some extra incense. And I looked and I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this young lady that came over. I said, I'm going to give her some incense. So I gave it to her. And whenever, she went home and she was like, whenever I told her, I said, Mija, I said, please make sure that you take this to your mom. And she goes, oh my God, that's incense. And I said, yeah. And so then she was like, oh, that's cool. I said, oh, you're welcome. To me, it was like, I'm going to go ahead and give it to her. To her, it was like, oh my God. When you learn to be a gracious giver and receiver, your life will be abundant. And abundance isn't always about money. Abundance can be abundance in love, in relationships, in great co-workers, in people that are going to come and, help you out when you least expect it. These are all beautiful things. So remember, as you give a smile, a hug, a compliment, pick up the phone and call somebody and make them feel great. A card saying, I don't care how ugly your handwriting is. It's going to be beautiful to the person that's going to be receiving that card. By the way, accept responsibility and become a beacon of peace and acceptance for all people in your community. Ladies and gentlemen, I certainly do hope that today's wonderful Uplifting the Soul is touching your soul and uplifting you. Truth never changes. The truth never changes. Let me say something. Mira, la verdad no peca, pero sí desincomoda. So, let me translate. The truth does not sin, but it sure makes people uncomfortable. You know, I'm going to tell you something. I'm sometimes not liked. You know why? Because they come and they ask me, Katrina, so what do you think? And then all of a sudden, I'm giving them a specific truth. And they just look at me like, why did I come? And I'm like, well, obviously you needed to hear it. When you speak the truth will always do what? Set you free. Living in truth helps to live a happy life. Living in truth helps to live a happy life. I need to write that down. Hold on. Living in truth helps to live a happy life. Okay, I wrote it down because, you know, sometimes these statements come through and it's like, and they're phenomenal. Truth never changes. It is always with us, for it is the same yesterday, today, and forever. There is now no new truth. By the knowledge of that which is true, we are made free from every false sense of bondage. False statements bond, they're bondage. You get, you know, it's kind of like it's a bondage. It's kind of like you, all of a sudden you're just like, oh, well, I have to remember and I have to do. You're not free. So remember, speak the truth, say the truth, be the truth. His truth endureth to all generations, Psalm 105. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice, John 18:37. I am the way, the truth, and the life, John 14:6. And send out thy light and thy truth, let them lead me. So what are we going to ask for? Oh, and that was Psalm 43:3. So what are we going to be asking for? Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, creator of all, because what goes before me is truth, love, and light. Truth, love, and light, and opens the doors to my success. Wow. Hey, that's a good short, isn't it? Okay, you find it next time and then you put it out there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for allowing me to come and to be with you and to just uplift the soul. You have an absolutely phenomenal, great week. And before we go, if you have any specific prayer requests, you know, please hold them, please put them into our thread or message me and we'll uplift you. And please know that we are always uplifting you today and always. I mean, it is something that we do. We have other people that are praying and that are uplifting, and we're always, you know, whatever request you send to us, we are working on it. Okay, definitely. And so right now, I'd like for us to hold our tithes, our offerings, our prayer requests in our hands, and we say together, divine love in me, as me, and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. And so it is. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. And just know that all your tithes and offerings that you send in, they go to a really great cause. We help different ladies, we help different men, we help in different causes in different ways, so just know that you are always appreciated. And it also helps so that we can continue to be in our building, and it helps another congregation so that they can continue to flourish as well. And then, we're able to, whenever we're needing, we help, people that may need help with their, with a loved one's funeral services. It just depends on the need. So thank you so very much. God bless you, and know that you are a success every day in every way. So let's sing together. We love you. Love you guys. And I'm sending out special prayers for Simona, for Tina, for those that we've mentioned today, as we, there were some other names that were mentioned earlier, and we're sending them love and light as well, and perfect divine health in them, through them, and as them. And at this very moment, I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one. I'm ready to experience one. I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. My heart is opened all the way. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle today. I do receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle today. Very good, very good. Yay! I love you guys. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.